Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our next episode of Gridwork. In the last episode, we explored how the body operates as an information processing system, focusing on fascia, trauma, and nervous system regulation. So today, we extend that logic into our lineage. I know that is a very intriguing topic, right? So, and understand how we can look into our ancestral grids, right? How bloodlines transmit stress, roles, and adaptive patterns. Okay, as we are very well aware that nobody develops or improve in isolation, right? Every nervous system, all of our nervous systems, they are shaped inside a family system. Hmm. It has been happening since many centuries, ages, okay, that existed long before the individual, right, Priya?
Absolutely. And I think many people who actually experience individual dysfunctions, I don't think is individual anymore because they are inherited adaptive strategies that probably worked once to help a family survive through historical conditions. It could be migrations, or it could be losses, or it could be silences, or even sacrifices. But these strategies are or were brilliant solutions at their time. But when the environment itself has changed so much and the strategy remains fixed, what happens is that it becomes like a source of suffering. For example, we are still following some of the things that was invented during the Britishers. For example, I don't know if Alisha, if you're aware of this. um, in India, being the religion that we follow, we are supposed to have dinner before the sun sets or during the sun setting of the sun, right? But if you look at what has been happening for many, 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 many decades, we have been having dinner at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Our restaurants are open until 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how that came about?
All from this conditioning.
So, when the Britishers ruled India, they were served dinner at 5 o'clock.
Mm.
So they were served dinner between 5 to 7. Once they were served dinner, everything had to be cleaned and washed, and everything has to be spick and span.
Okay.
So, and then is when the working class, which is the Indians, who sat down to have their meal. So by the time they started having their meal, it was 7 or 8 in the night, and we are still continuing that. Okay, so this is just an example. So this episode you all explains how these or how those strategies got transmitted and why they surface more clearly now, almost demanding to be seen so that there can be some change.
So I want to clarify a few things over here. Why we are talking about it today. I feel like this episode is for people who notice recurring patterns, right? Across generations. I'm sure you guys might be experiencing that on individual level, on collective level, places you go to, and when you connect with other people as well. Okay, we most of us have an eye to recognize the patterns. I am going to name some of them. Okay, so these are the things which if these resonate with you, please just check with yourself. Okay, so if you feel like your emotional struggles uh, are similar with your parents, with your grandparents, I would say community as well.
Mm,
Okay, because one community is one lineage from
yeah.
that perspective. Okay. Next is if you see repeated relationship dynamics,
Mm,
be it your romantic relationships, be it a parent child relationship, be it a sibling relationship. Okay. And I've also seen some people who have inherited health conditioning. Okay, so the nervous system carries that conditioning forward, and there are mental conditionings as well, related conditioning. Example, if a parent is having hypertension, they have been in that state for whole of their life. Okay, the next generation, the people who are born, they are born with that imprint. Okay. Um, Next one, which I myself have experienced personally back in the days, I felt like early responsibility, or opposite of that, resulting in hyper independence. So if you resonate with all these things, stay with us through the end, because these patterns are not at all random. Okay, we need to talk about this, because individual self improvement cannot resolve systematic inheritance. What I mean by that is, even if you are on your inner work journey, you are doing all the identification, you are doing all the right things, okay, which you feel are right for you as an individual, there are imprints which can show up in your behavior patterns. And Priya, I would like you to give some insight about how this impacts on social, economic, and environmental level, and what could be the disclaimer of going into bloodline grids.
Okay, so I'll probably give the disclaimer first, okay?
Mhm.
Mm, it's a possibility that when you are listening to this episode, you get an opportunity to put the blame on your ancestors or your
Yeah.
bloodlines for you being the way you are. Okay, so I want to make it very clear that this is not for you to put the blame, because the easiest thing that you can do is put the blame, and the most difficult thing that you can do is be responsible and be accountable for what you are blaming others for. All right, so that is your disclaimer. I don't want to over explain this. And before I get any more further into this episode, I want you all. I forgot to do this initially, guys. I want to welcome you all to this episode, and I want to thank a bunch of you guys who went there, engaged. That is, you liked, you subscribed. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And I think because of you guys, many more people got to watch these videos. So thank you so much. Really bless your heart. And anybody else who's new here, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, watch it in slow, watch it at 1x speed. I really don't care, but watch it, understand it, ask your questions. We would love to engage with you guys. All right. You also, by engaging with the content, that is by liking, subscribing, you are helping the algorithm get this content to many more people. Because trust me, as we are stepping into 26 and then, the years to come, this is going to be the foundation for you to come back and listen and learn, because just wait and watch how this content is going to become even more potent and more useful. Because right now you'll be like, oh, what are these two women sitting and talking about? But just wait and watch. In the next 3 years, you're gonna be like, oh, I heard this somewhere sometime back. Let me go back and listen to it again. Okay, so with that, um, coming back to the topic, um, y- as social, economic, environmental pressures increase, our inherited stress responses become even more visible. What I mean by that is, if you were able to hide something previously, you're getting into a place where you can hide it no more. Okay, and that is not just with you, that is with all of us. Okay, without understanding the lineage transmission, people blame themselves for the patterns that are structural, and blame has not got us anywhere. Okay, so when I have worked with clients, I have noticed that they have this crushing emotions, be it shame or be it anything. Okay, so I'm going to take the example of shame in this case, because I'm talking about a particular client that I worked with, so it's easier for me to relate. So crushing shame of being too anxious, unable to rest, only to discover in the family constellation work that their grandmother suffered famine by never relaxing, or their father grew up during the partition and learned that vigilance equals to love. Okay, so once the lineage context is revealed, then the personal shame dissolves and the real choices begin to appear. So that
Right.
is why this conversation is like so important.
Okay. I want to add on to this by explaining what actually are ancestral grids, okay, and why we are not talking about only land, we are talking about lineage today.
Yeah.
Guys, these two things are very much interrelated, as Priya has mentioned few things before as well. Migration, losses, war, everything is embedded in the land memory, also in your nervous system. So I want to put it that way, that an ancestral grid is particularly a transmission of behavioral, emotional, and physiological patterns through generations. Okay, I repeat, emotional, okay, behavioral, and physiological patterns. These might include genetic predispositions. And what I mean by that is, in Vedic language, we call it Bij Samskaras. So, what are Bij Samskaras? The latent things or tendencies that are inherited in your seed when your body, your nervous system started originating. So that beej carried that samskara, which means that imprint. So hence the genetic predisposition. Next, as Priya has explained recently, epigenetic stress markers. So there are some environments which show up in your behavior pattern, maybe in upcoming generations. Like she talked about how a grandmother survived famine, but the imprints of that hypervigilancy, never relaxing, never resting, can be seen in the upcoming generations. Okay. Another pointer would be learned emotional regulation style. And what I mean by that is, let's say you are in an environment, you are living with your parents, okay, and your grandparents. The way your grandparents handle things are very panicky, let's say, okay, for an example. The way your parents handle things are way, way more panicky than your grandparents. Okay. So result could be that you are learning to respond in such ways or the opposite of that. Okay. So from that environment, you learn the regulation styles. Next could be the survival strategies shaped by the historical context. I feel like this is already correlated to the
Mm.
um, learned predisposition, genetic predisposition,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So these patterns basically they operate automatically. So if you're feeling like, okay, how can I identify these things? Okay, how can I identify these patterns? Why they are not in my conscious? So just know that these patterns operate automatically unless consciously examined. Okay, that is why today we are talking over here about it. That is why there is so much talk about ancestral imprints and ancestral grids and so on.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for covering that. Okay, I'm going to be expanding a little bit on everything that you said. Okay, I
Hmm.
think the first thing that I'm gonna pick up is epigenetic research. So when we look at the epigenetic researches that has been happening around the world, it shows that prolonged stress can alter a gene's expression for multiple generations.
Yes.
So when someone has experienced or let's say when someone in the current time is experiencing heightened anxiety or urgency or emotional expression without a clear personal cause, it often reflects that inherited nervous system programming.
Mm.
Because you when you look at a person, the way they are, the way they move, right, you are not able to understand why are they the way they are,
Yeah.
right? Because in your eyes, oh, they are well educated, well dressed, speaks all right, but here is where I can see those behavioral changes. There is tremors in the body, there is stammering, there is that urgency, and you know, if this person can calm down a little bit, probably they can achieve more in less time. But all this is happening, and you might think, oh, something must have been terribly gone wrong with this person in the past, so maybe they have some kind of trauma, or they have, gone through something. It could be anything, but it also could be this, that it is that inherited nervous system programming. For example, I have seen, when I take my clients through a hypnotherapy session or through a meditative sessions, I can also see that in that most relaxed environment, okay, even in the most safest of environments, their cortisol level is like so fucking high. So when you track back, something called I do something called a soul imprint report. So when you track back, what you understand is that somebody in their ancestral line, could be a great grandfather or somebody else, would have lived through war or some kind of a collapse, and because of which they have inherited that. So what I'm trying to tell you is that your body remembers that. mm, like, this is a message that has been passed down, okay? It is that the body remembers that any resources that is there for help can vanish at any time. Trust
Yeah.
nobody, just stay
Yeah.
ready for anything that is coming through. When you are operating with that kind of an emotion on a daily basis, think about what you're going through, okay? So these are not personal failures, you guys. These are very loyal echoes of the survival intelligence that was passed down.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you guys.
Yeah.
In the blood and in the silence and in the way emotions were handled, even at a dinner table for that matter.
Yeah. Yes. And referring to the epigenetic research pointer that you have uh, explained, Priya, about the prolonged stress, as it is encoded in the gene expression, uh, we can clearly say, it is very crystal clear that all the large scale events that has happened previously, they shape our DNA, be it it is on a civilization eraser, let's say. Okay.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, be it like family going through migration, all the diaspora families, all the people who have had poverty, okay, they were deprived of the basic necessities of being a human, they were not met. Uh, and all these uh, on the macrocosm level, I would say, major historical events like war, displacement, even for the matter, colonization is also a pointer, very huge one. Any kind of famine,
Can I
drought.
can I share a
Yeah,
personal example?
yeah, yeah. Add on.
I was in Amritsar in last year around July, okay, and this was my first time visiting this place.
Mhm.
So I love the vibe of Amritsar because wherever you go, they're playing the chants like all the time, everywhere. Be it a taxi, be it a hotel, be it anywhere else. People are so beautifully loving. The language, even though I don't understand jack shit of Punjabi, I was able to understand Punjabi because I was not trying to understand the language. I was seeing how the emotions flow.
Yeah.
But here is what I noticed: the kind of trauma that the people of that land carry is so painful. And I think the place where I stayed was very close to the Pakistan border. I did not know it at that time. I didn't know why I picked that hotel of all the places. Okay. I only got to know that when the people I know in Amritsar was like, why are you staying so far away? Like just a few more kilometers and the border is there. And I was like, I did not know, but there could be a reason why I went there, you see, because uh, nobody reaches any place randomly. But
Yeah.
the kind of the most beautiful people carrying the deepest trauma. So even though,
Hmm.
and I was pondering on it, and I spoke to a lot of people including
Yeah.
you, and that
Yeah.
is when I came to realization that that land has seen so much loss, that land has seen so much blood, and that land has seen so much wars,
It has.
that it is there, it is still there.
It is there. It is there in the air, in the land memory, in the lineages, communities over there. It is encoded because uh, being an epicenter of the entry to our country, it has been a place which has to regenerate itself, starting from growing food for themselves to just being. So, definitely, you are right. There is a lot of trauma over there. For sensitive people, if grid workers or anybody who has heightened sensitivity will definitely feel that along the bliss that they experience over there. So, I feel like both of the things are uh, transmuting in a way. Okay, the energy is getting transmuted. So all these things shape how families organize themselves, and I have seen a certain kind of behavior in people. Let's say in South India, Priya, I was reading somewhere that particular communities have been warriors. Like females were the frontline warriors in those communities. I guess including yours as well,
Mm, mm, mm.
right?
Yeah.
So there is that upfrontness, straightforwardness, and like uh,
Fuck
a
the world.
very
I will survive no matter where you put me types.
yeah, that kind of energy. So you see, even you organize yourself, we tend to organize ourselves around these experiences that are encoded in our genes,
Absolutely.
which can be safety, which can be authority, and it comes out in our emotional expression as well.
Yeah. Like, families that has been exposed to instability, okay,
Uh,
often produce very vigilant or controlling behaviors.
yeah.
Like communities that has survived through silences, meaning they were unable to fight, right? They pass down emotional restraint, so that kind of a person can like go through anything and not break, even though they are like completely collapsing within, right?
Yeah, yeah,
um like displacements can create ongoing restlessness or difficulty settling down. Like I see this with army and navy and military kids, right? They move
yeah,
from one location to another, and if the child who's moving with you is very sensitive, they have this, like I've witnessed this firsthand, wherein this person had such a difficult time settling down. So these adaptations made sense at that particular time, y'all, but as they persist, because the system has never given conditions to recalibrate.
yeah,
I'm going to give you another example over here, okay? I was working with a client whose family fled during the partition violence, the India Pakistan partition violence, okay? So their grandfather or their grandparents never spoke of the trauma, and the instruction was very simple: move ahead, don't look back.
yeah,
They did it because that was the best thing that they could, right? But
yeah,
3 generations later, the grandchildren struggle with deep grief, which they can't name, like sudden panic in crowded places and inability to settle down anywhere longer than a few years. The so the
Right.
Funny part is that they thought that I am feeling like this because I have been this wanderer, right, since the time I'm a child, because I've lived in different cities. So
Yeah.
this I'm just on like, wanderlust kind of a thing, okay? But why are they feeling that restlessness if they are that kind of a nomad? That's not how it should be. If I am a nomad, then I'm happy. I'm moving from one place to another. But they are covering that unresolved flight response by some other name.
Okay.
Okay, or even consider colonized lineages, for example. Okay, the
Uh,
adaptive strategy of keep your head down, don't challenge anybody else,
yeah.
don't challenge the authority, just mind your own business,
Yeah.
has helped because it has been a physical survival, right? And that is why they did that. But then that shows up now by having difficulty claiming your own space, like taking up space. They apologize. Like, I've seen people apologize for taking up space. Oh no, I don't want to delay anybody else, or oh, I don't want anybody to wait for me, kind of a thing. And when it comes to office environments, I've seen people who will not negotiate for their salaries or even ask for raises, even though they know that they are doing more than what they should.
Yeah.
So or speaking the truth in a room where there is full of authoritative figures. I used to be one of those. Like,
Okay.
when there is an authoritative figure, forget a room full. If I have one authoritative figure, I would be just, yeah, okay, fine, I'll do it, and I'll just walk away, to later
Mm.
go and think, how the hell am I even gonna do it types.
Mm.
So you see, it's not just the land, it's not just the ancestry. It has been beautifully passed down to you. And it is not just the negative things that has been passed down, okay? It is also the positive things.
Positive.
Today
Yeah.
we are bringing up the things which has made our life so difficult, so that we are able to understand the nuances behind why we do what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel called to mention over here that we people are working with our inner grids in a very safe space where you can explore your awareness in a live immersion. Okay, so I'm talking about the clarity code. So that is how you guys can identify your triggers, things that are there embedded in the patterns, and how we can repattern ourselves. And I know it might feel overwhelming at times. How am I going to do all of that stuff? Okay. So I just want to mention over here and state that it starts with understanding. And that is what we do. We understand the patterns, the underneath layers of why we are who we are. Okay. So you guys are invited to go through the clarity code. We'll place the link in the description. Back to the topic, Priya, there has been lineages and families. We have talked about the major events, but sometimes in family systems, people are assigned roles to maintain the balance
Hmm.
or keep it going. Like you said, move ahead, don't look back. Okay, these are mechanisms because they have worked, like mentioned previously. I want to name some of the roles. Please check if you correlate with these roles. Caretaker, mediator of the family, achiever of the family, solver of the family. Are you the one? Do you feel you have a role? You have a name for the role that you are playing in your family? Please introspect on this. I feel like then you will be able to relate with whatever we are mentioning today over here. Because these roles often repeat across generations, and that is what has been named as Pitru dosha in our Kundali system. Okay. So dosha means something where we do the work. What kind of work? Just understanding. Okay.
I'm going
So
to expand a little bit on all these different roles that you mentioned.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so I'm going to give a few examples for the listeners to understand
yeah,
what it is. Okay, you might have seen some children take on responsibility very early because the family requires that kind of regulation.
yes.
Okay, so this can look like maturity on many different levels, but it
Mhm.
often comes with suppressed needs and chronic stress.
Chronic, yeah.
So these roles aren't very consciously chosen by the person who's taking on that role. Okay. This role is very automatically taken on because it is observed through proximity and necessity. Okay.
Mm.
Like, like I have seen people become this invisible caretaker when the role is passed down in a maternal way, wherein the grandmother is raised, let's say, during a war, and the mother becomes the family therapist during. Mm, no, the mother becomes like a family therapist even without getting trained as a therapist. Now
Yeah.
the daughter feels guilty anytime she prioritizes her own needs.
Mhm.
Okay, or let's say, I think the other one that you said was an achiever, right? An
Yeah,
achiever role in families is where families have escaped poverty,
yeah.
so success becomes the only acceptable proof of your worth.
Hmm.
So it could be producing generations of high performing, burnt out, prone individuals who feel completely empty on the top. So this child senses that if I don't hold on to this role, then this entire system is going to destabilize. So the role becomes an identity until someone dares to differentiate it. Have you heard of this word called as the cycle breakers?
Yeah, yes.
It's like very widely spread now, right? So the cycle breakers are those who gets up and says, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah,
I've seen everybody in my family do this. I've seen everybody in my family suffer through this. I'm a cycle breaker. Alicia is a cycle breaker. We've done it, guys. We're like the black sheeps. We are the weirdos of the family. People don't understand us. They hate us. It's perfectly fine. Eventually, they come to love us. That is also fine. So, these are the cycle breakers. Okay, so I
yeah.
just want to
They
bring all these concepts in because I
are.
know there are all these words like flying around, but many of us don't exactly understand what it means.
Yeah.
So, there.
And Priya, as moving forward, I feel like there is a very strong conflict between the inherited patterns that are there encoded and the way we live our modern life. Okay, I want to state some of the pointers because modern life often contradicts,
Hmm.
right? It
Hmm.
often contradicts inherited survival strategies. For example, if you see our nervous system received mixed signals experiencing these things, okay?
Hmm.
Like remain alert versus allow rest. Our schedules have been like that. Okay, if you take example of a corporate life, I think I don't have to explain further. One word is enough. Okay, but the uh, how epigenetics play over here. The rest that is required by your body is very different. Now, I'm not pointing you to ditch your job. I'm just differentiating how the way of living in modern world is in conflict with the inherited epigenetics, okay, inherited play that is there. It can be seen in your behavior, okay. So that is why that is the real discomfort when you say, okay, I am uncomfortable. I'm feeling like shit, but I don't know why. This is the inner conflict that you might be experiencing, which can be uncomfortable but unidentifiable because it is playing in your unconscious and subconscious. It takes time to identify, time and effort and understanding to learn uh, and see through these patterns. Okay. Uh, I have seen a lot of people. having a conflict between prioritizing family loyalty versus individual choice. And this denotes to family system where there is a very prominent narcissism in play, I would say, very prominent one. Because all the flying monkeys who are the enablers of the families, okay, they tend to prioritize family loyalty even without even having the discernment um, for it, right? Do you want to say something?
I just want to say that,
Yeah,
like, um, I don't want to just pick up narcissistic families, okay? I just
yeah,
want to say, I think that is how it has been for multiple decades now,
mhm,
okay? Because at one point in time, we, at least in India, we mostly lived as a joint family. And when you live as a joint family, everybody does everything together. There's a different kind of joy in that.
yeah,
I'm not from a joint family, so I wouldn't know much details about it. I don't know if anybody who wants personal space might get personal space or individual choices, or if they have to do everything.
yeah,
uh but I have at least seen, in the last couple of generations, that I have seen in my own family, that there is no individual choice. Like, my mom didn't have it, her mom didn't have it, her mom did not have it, my father did not have it. So my father literally ran away from home. I love that man for that. So
yeah,
you see, he's also a cycle breaker in that case, because he was like,
yeah,
no, I don't want to do what everybody is doing. I'm not happy with it. I just want to do my own thing, right? But yeah, so I don't want to differentiate it between a narc family, but I'm sure, I know you have reasons to say that, and I know you have examples to showcase as well. But yeah, just want to bring in that one point, and flying monkeys, of course.
yeah. So also, Priya, I've seen, given all these environments that you have mentioned, I've seen a lot of suppression around emotions when you don't have your individual choice. Definitely, there will be a heap of emotions that you are just showing under the rug, and versus communicating openly. So here you understand your freeze and fawn behaviors
Hmm.
when you shut down and when you overshare.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, please guys, go through the link that is there in the description. Clarity code is why we call it a code, because it is a code and a key to break all these things in a simpler manner. Why we are fawning, why we are freezing, why there is a need to fawn, why this is a natural response. How can we reshape this reaction to response? All these things we talk about very gently in a safe space, wherein Priya is taking through this journey, like taking you all through this journey via the clarity code. So please go through the link. If you feel called to, please, you are most welcome. Okay. So
I
all
want
these,
to.
yeah,
Sorry, Alicia. Go ahead.
all these things, they create a lot of internal tension. Why I am urging on all these things is because I myself have been I have experienced all these signals. I have identified my friends, our circles, Priya, we all have identified this. Once we started understanding all these patterns, and when we reshaped it, our reality was different. Our environment was different. Our decision making was different. Ace of life was different. So, yeah.
I want to take everybody back into what you mentioned earlier with respect to how our nervous system behaves when it receives mixed signals. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, so when we receive mixed signals, you all, what happens is that we experience guilt, anxiety, or exhaustion when uh, when trying to live differently from what you have experienced in your families. Okay, for example, like Alicia was saying that, um you were talking about prioritizing the family's needs, or your self needs, right? So
Yeah.
let's say I prioritize my self need at any point in time, then the first thing that I'm going to feel is guilty, that how could I even think like this.
Yes.
Anxiety, that if anybody gets to know that I actually took out 4 hours to go to a salon and probably just get my hair done or skin done, and also spend that kind of money, I don't know what my folks are going to tell me about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there is also another reason for this. We have never been taught how to express, how to understand emotions. And because we have never been taught, because nobody was there to teach us, nobody knew it themselves, change becomes like a betrayal.
Yeah.
And what I want to tell you is that change is not a betrayal. It's just an adaptation to a newer environment. Okay.
Mm.
So, someone from never showing weakness lineage, when they enter therapy, okay, or when they work with the healer and finally cries, the next day they are flooded with shame and fear that, oh, I have disowned my or dishonored my ancestors. Okay. But the ancestors adapted to the condition where showing emotions could cost their lives.
Yeah.
And today, those conditions are not existing anymore. Today, if you're standing on the road and crying, probably three people will look at you, but nobody's going to take a gun and shoot at you.
Yeah.
Right? So, choosing vulnerability isn't disloyalty, you all. It is the next intelligent adaptation. So, guilt is simply the old grid clashing with the new reality. That's what it is.
It is. So I want to invite you all to work with all these ancestral patterns very responsibly, because working with all these inherited patterns, it doesn't require reliving um, our family pain or assigning blame to the family environment systems. It requires your honest recognition, okay, and identification of boundaries, okay, and updated regulation style. Okay, so basically, it is the deconditioning of your regulation style. As Priya mentioned, we were not at all taught to how to process emotions. Now we have those systems and awareness that has been created by people like us, maybe. Okay, there are people who are coming forward to help others, which means we have been through this journey of breaking cycles. And let me tell you guys, we all are work in progress. Okay. Even today, we are working on so many patterns. Maybe these layers are very deep. Okay. Which we will be talking about in our next gridwork episodes, as well as the clarity code episodes, where we talk about so many sensitive topics, because that space is very much trauma aware, trauma informed, wherein we pick these sensitive topics to the surface and dissect it for you guys. So I request you all to subscribe to our channel, Soul Crafted, and stay tuned.
I
Yeah.
want to add something interesting over here, okay?
Hmm.
Mm, I'm sure we are all intrigued by this concept called DNA, right?
Yes.
How everything is passed on to us from our ancestors. That has been the whole thing of our conversation today, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Now, it's so important to understand that um, this is just not psychological in nature.
Yes.
This is not just mental in nature, okay?
Yes.
This is something that is very real, very in the body, very in the DNA, very much in the bones, the blood of all of us. So, are there ways to recondition your DNA? Yes, there is. Are there ways to rewrite your DNA? Yes, there is. But for you to even be able to do that, we need to first understand what is in our DNA, what is our core um, energies, what is running us, why are we thinking the way we are thinking, right? So when you learn to stabilize your nervous system and differentiate the past from the present, inherited stress responses lose their grip. And the goal is flexibility, not loyalty to any kind of outdated conditions. So, practically, this means that noticing when an emotion or a reaction feels bigger than the current trigger.
Yep.
So when you are going through a trigger and when you feel that why am I overreacting, and there are many of us who are very aware of this, okay, why am I overreacting, ask yourself this question: whose survival strategy is this? And then resourcing the body in the present moment will begin to happen. Over a time your nervous system will learn, okay, this was a war, this was a famine, this was an oppression, this is over, we can rest now. So this is like you have to parent yourself, and for you to be able to parent yourself you need to know what you are parenting, why you are parenting yourself.
This was a very interesting topic today, Priya, isn't it? That
Yeah,
we have
yeah,
covered.
yeah.
And we will unfold more in our upcoming episodes. Also, guys, I want to mention over here, we uh, have a very aligned grid of ours. That is our WhatsApp circle. That is Guardians of the In Between, where you all are invited. Uh, we gather there monthly. We work on things that we feel like. We examine land, we work on body, we work on lineage, because all these things are part of interconnected systems affecting human behavior, right? So we also post the field updates, the global updates that we are feeling into our bodies, because moving forward as very sensitive grid workers, we feel grids in our body, in our system, in our liminal spaces. So you all are invited to work with us in this field. Please join Guardians of In Between. The link is in the description. And uh, we have an upcoming gathering where we are working on a very important grid of Bharat, that is Aravalli Range. And I am sure that you might be aware about the underneath what is happening in that grid. So conversation for another time, but yes, you all are invited there.
And Alicia mentioned about Clarity Code twice. So the whole reason why Clarity Code came into existence is because um, when we are going through an emotional discomfort, we really are not very open about it. We don't even pay any attention to it. We really ignore it because we feel that it is not important because there are many other things that is more important than that, right? But here is the thing: you are not going to be building castles if your nervous system is not stable.
Yeah,
You're not going to be creating wealth and abundance if you are collapsing every time there is a tension that arises. You are not going to be building businesses when your partner leaves your business. All of these are collapses, guys. And when something bad happens in our life, or when something heartbreaking like this happens in our life, is when every bad thing that has ever happened in our life comes back rushing. Okay, so the clarity code is for anyone who wants an emotional and nervous system stability, so that none of these inherited patterns can overwhelm you, so that you understand what they are in the first place and resolve. It is called the clarity code because it is an energetic tool. We have a
agreed.
framework that we follow, which is SSID, which will take you through each and every pattern. Okay, I know you guys are afraid of master classes because every time you come to a master class, somebody sells you more in a
Yeah.
master class, right? I don't know why my hand is yeah. So somebody sells you more, but here is a thing. You attending that immersion itself is going to be so fruitful for you that I don't think you would want to attend anything else after that. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there something that can help you in a deeper level? I'm saying it upfront. Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Okay. But it is not mandatory. You attending, you investing those 3 hours is more than enough. So if you have the time, if you have the patience, if you have the curiosity, you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Absolutely. So, this was episode 4, wherein we covered ancestral grids and things related to that. And in our,
In our next
yeah,
episode, we'll explore threshold moments. Okay, what happens when multiple grids activate at once? And I went through a real lifetime experience
yes,
just 2 weeks ago. Okay, so that.
yeah. So we'll talk about our experiences, recent ones, how these grids are showing up. So I invite you all to subscribe to our channel because understanding inheritance restores choice. Thank you, guys.
And thank you very much for being with us and listening to us. And we'll see you in the next episode.